more and more as the years go by. We're constantly discovering new planets, new heavenly bodies. We're learning that there are so many constellations in so many galaxies that we never knew existed before. This vast universe, including this planet on which you and I live right now. The planet that is the visited planet, the planet where God came down in the form of His Son to save us from sin. All of this was made through Him. Now just think about this. He makes the world. It is through Him working with the Father and working with the Spirit of God who brought it all into existence. And He comes down here in human form to visit us, and the very world that He made didn't recognize Him. He came into a world that was totally blind to its Creator. But that's not all that the passage says. It goes on then in the next verse and says, He came to His own, and His own people did not receive Him. But to all who did receive Him, who believed in His name, He gave the right to become children of God, who were born not of blood, not of the will of the flesh, nor of the will of man, but of God. He came to the people of His own nation. He came as a Jew. He lived among those who were God's chosen, those that the Lord said belonged to Him. You are a people for my own possession, God said over and over again in the Old Testament, and it's repeated in the New Testament. They belong to God. And that's who Jesus came to, because they had the scriptures that said He was coming. And yet when He got here, they didn't receive Him. And what that means is they didn't believe on Him. Because it goes on to say, but as many as did receive Him, to those who believe on His name, He gave the right to become children of God. They weren't born of blood. I take that to mean that one doesn't have to be of that nation in order to receive and believe on Jesus Christ. Not born of the will of the flesh, that is, not through the ordinary processes of desire and the usual ways of generation. That's not how we become children of God. They were not born in any human plan or any human proposal. They were born of God. John is fond of that term, born of God. He used it some 7 times in his epistles. Talks about being born of God. Peter uses the same terminology. So Jesus came to people, offering them a new birth. His own people, those who had the scriptures, those that should have known Him, been ready to receive Him. He came to them, and they didn't receive Him. Just a very few of them. And they had the privilege then of becoming children of God. Well, how did He come? Well, He came, of course, through a miraculous conception and birth. He was born of the Virgin. In the 10th chapter of the letter to the Hebrews, if it is a letter, I tend to think it's intended as a written sermon. It's not in the form of an epistle, but we know it as the epistle to the Hebrews. The writer of that particular book quotes from the 45th Psalm and applies the words, has Jesus represented Jesus as saying those words. A body hast thou prepared to me. Lo, I'm come to do thy will, O God. In sacrifices and burnt offerings you had no delight. So you prepared a body for me. Sent me here. That's what Jesus was saying. God prepared the body for His eternal Son, His co-equal in the Godhead. Prepared a human body